Only the rabbi.
Yeah.
Can I just ask one question? Because it's recording.
Yeah, but I'm going to cut it
how you
out.
pronounce your surname.
Ojek.
Thank you.
That's very important to be recorded.
Where's that from?
It's Polish. Polish, yeah. Polish for nut.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Polish for nut. Okay. Welcome everyone. So you weren't here last week.
No, I won't be here for 2 weeks.
But you can get it online. This is for you. You can access online.
How?
YouTube.
We'll send you a link to the Rejuvenate app. So all of the shiurim are recorded and placed onto an application.
And the previous?
And the previous one as well. Yeah, so you can get everything online and
Wonderful.
Good. Okay, so what I want to do, maybe we'll just recap. Okay, we've been speaking about the 4 rivers and we've identified that the state of non-existence in this world comes from something which we refer to as the ani. The ani is the ego. The ani is our association with an illusory self, an externality, a material world, and we've identified the ani, which has 3 letters, to really be associated with 3 essential places of identity. And those 3 places of identity are false. They're false places of identity. And when something is false, almost like when an individual is eating food that isn't nutritious, like this, so not only do you feel completely lackluster, you lose your energy, but you don't feel full for long.
Well, that's why you have the great sauces.
So you can balance it off, so it gets you back to 0. Okay? And essentially what we're trying to achieve through this course is to find an avenue of identity which gives us a sense of presence, a sense of life, being vivified in our activity, and living essentially outside of the realm of fear. Because when we live in the ego, we live in a constant state of fear. And so by introduction last week we dealt with the 4 rivers, and the 4 rivers was a Kabbalistic exploration into these 4 rivers that descend or emerge from a place called Eden. It says that there's a river that comes out from Eden, comes into the garden, and from there it splits off into 4. And we understood that these are 4 places of identification. The 3 we understood were false. They are associated with the egoic self, and this course is going to investigate. Today we're going to go through the first river, and then the 4th river is a state of presence, it's a state of life, it's a state of oneness with the world, with your relationships, and with yourself. Okay? So we're on to the first river. Does anyone remember what the first river is called?
Tigris.
Pishon.
Tigris, or the Pishon River. And the Pishon River, it says, surrounds the Eretz HaChavila, surrounds a land called Chavila, and there is gold. Beautiful gold in this river, in this land that this river surrounds. And we identified the first place that a person gets ensnared by their egoic identity is in the physical world. And the physical world manifests in a number of places. Initially it manifests in their appearance. Okay, so a person who identifies with their appearance and says, this essentially is me. So anytime their appearance is jaded in a certain way or affected in a certain way, they don't feel like they're dressed the best or they have the best in terms of their appearance, they don't look the best, they automatically have a lowered sense of identity, a lower sense of self. And conversely, when they look good, they feel good. When they have a nice haircut or they're wearing a nice, whatever it may be, then they feel good about themselves. So now the danger in living in such a place, if that is the only association that you have of yourself, is it is very transitory. It's very, very much subject to oscillate, because the material world around us is something which by definition is constantly eroding. There's constant state of flux. There's a constant ability or inability to maintain yourself in a physical way. You look at people, they get old. You look at people, there is sickness, God forbid. You look at the world around you, if you leave something, it erodes. You know, it eventually will show some fault in it. So a person who solely bases their definition of self on appearance is in a constant state of angst. Because number one, how are you going to maintain that? Fear of what will be when we get older. How will we maintain a sense of appearance? Fear of not having enough. If someone else has the ability to buy beautiful garments, beautiful clothes, beautiful cars, a sense of externality, well, if I don't have what they have, then essentially I'm lacking. But more than that, because that's not the essential self, the craziest thing is, the more you have of this, it doesn't matter. Because the more you have, the more you realize that it's not enough. So it's almost like a person who's starting at basics. Well, they think a little bit of a change, a little bit of this will encourage or enhance my appearance. It will enhance who I am. But there are people that have so much, but still they've realized it's not enough. Okay, so what I want to bring to you is a Gemara. I thought of this on the way, and I think it's very apt. So there's a Gemara that speaks about, and this Gemara is found in Brochus. There's a Gemara that speaks about, do the dead know what is taking place in this world? Once they leave this world, is there an understanding of what's happening in this world?
That's interesting.
And the discussion turns to a individual who was kicked out of his home, and he goes and he sleeps in the cemetery. And it says that he hears two ruchos, two female spirits, speaking one to another. Misapres zoy lezoy. Amachada lechaverta, one spirit says to her friend, Chaverti, bo v'nishoit be'olam. Come with me. Let's go into exploring the world. Let's go and see what's happening. You know, what's the goss? Let's go jeweling. This is what the spirits say to one another. V'nishma machrei pargud, ma poronus ba'la'olam. Let's go and identify what will befall the world around us. And you know what? One of the spirits turns and says to this initial one, Amrala, Chaverta. She says, my friend, Eini yachoila, I can't come with you. You know why? Shani kvura b'machatzeles shel kinim. Because I was buried in a burial gown of reeds.
Kinim is life.
Kinim is lies, but here's kinim with a kuf.
Okay.
I'm buried in a burial gown of reeds.
Okay, I'm not dressed nicely.
I'm not dressed nicely.
Okay,
I can't come with you to go. I'm a spirit, so I can't come jawling with you. I'm not dressed nicely.
Okay.
You know, it's equivalent to a person saying, I don't have my Gucci outfit. You know, I'm not dressed in my finest. I'm wearing my pajamas, or Nebach. I had to go shop at Mr. Price. And I can't really go out and go with you because I'm not dressed appropriately.
Oh.
And essentially, I think this is the real understanding of the first river, the entrapment. Because essentially our whole purpose in life is to access a place of tranquility inside of ourselves. Tranquility looks like a place of resonance and cohesiveness with the world. A person that's stuck in the river Pishon, which is this first river, is a person that is stuck in jealousy. The word for jealousy is a word called kina. It's interesting that she's buried in kinim. She's buried in a burial gown of reeds, but on another state, it's a burial gown of jealousy. She's stuck in her jealousy. Even after she dies, she's still stuck in that spirit of jealousy, of entrapment. And the essential place of a person that is defining themselves by physicality, by their appearance, by what they own, the individual that lives in the river Pishon, is a person who can't go out and explore the world. Their friends, who are their friends? Not only their physical friends, but themselves. They say, come, let's go for a walk. Let's go and explore. Let's go to a party together. Let's go enjoy life. But there's always a feeling of, I'm not good enough. I don't look good enough. And only when I look good enough do I have a sense of confidence. Only when everything is perfect around me in my physicality do I feel a sense of calm. And so, thus she's stuck. She's almost buried alive. She's almost stuck in a perpetual cage of an illusory definition of self.
Even after life.
Even after life. Mm-hmm. So fascinating concept. Mm-hmm. She's buried in a burial gown of reeds. So with this, we need to try and understand our initial statement that we made way back when we were discussing last week, when we were discussing last week about the 4 rivers. And we understood that there were 3 things that take you out of your world. One of the things that take you out of your world, which means one of the things that detaches you from connecting to your life, is a state of identification with the physical. A primary identification with your physical surrounding and your appearance. I go to a gym, and in this gym they have a elevator or lift.
Mirror.
And you walk into this lift. Of course, in a gym, the first thing that you need to install in a lift is a mirror. But it's not enough. This is a very, very special gym. So on the mirror, they have written there something very, very special. You know what they have written there? They have written on the mirror, "Hello, gorgeous." Okay? Very vain, isn't it? "Hello, gorgeous." So, you know, I read it, it's interesting. But one day I thought, you know, "Hello, gorgeous." I was like, oh, okay, you know. So I thought, let me look in the mirror, "Hello, gorgeous." I wanted to try and amalgamate these 2 things together. But what hit me was something very hard. And that is that you look at that "Hello, gorgeous," and then what it's meant to do on the mirror, even though you can see yourself, you see the "Hello, gorgeous" on the mirror as well. And then what it causes you to do is then look at yourself again. But you don't look at the "Hello, gorgeous" anymore. You look at yourself. You look at an image of yourself. You look at a reflection of yourself now. I'm trying to remember, is this "Hello, gorgeous"? Am I gorgeous? Am I not gorgeous? That's a question. And what hit me was that if there is a statement on the mirror called "Hello, gorgeous" that now causes you to look at you, could it be that when a person looks at themselves in the mirror and they see their appearance, they see their externality, they see a material representation of the self, just like there is a deeper way of looking at yourself without looking at the "Hello, gorgeous," you see your appearance, is there an ability that when you look in the mirror, that you don't only see a physical representation of the self, that you actually see a being that is much deeper there. There is a being that underlying that entire just physical experience or representation, there is a state of consciousness that underlies you. So now we haven't done this together yet, but what I want to do is a short meditation to just try and bring a sensitivity to ourselves, a sensitivity to our inner state, to our inner consciousness. And then we'll go and carry on with the shira. We'll be able to access a little bit of a deeper space. So what I want everyone to do now is to close their eyes. Position yourselves somewhat comfortably on the seat. You might have already been comfortable, but maybe feel the comfort now. Bring your sensitivity and awareness and consciousness to feeling comfortable. Sit back maybe. Feel your breath. Feel the sensation of the air passing through, be it through your mouth or through your nose. Allow the sounds around you to slowly mesh into your focus on the breath. When any thoughts come up, allow them to be identified as thoughts and bring yourself back to the breath. With every breath, allow yourself to feel a greater sense of calm. Almost like an anchor pulling you closer into yourself. I want you to feel an awareness, a part of you that is aware of every breath, part of you that is conscious of your breathing, part of you that is observing the noises, the thoughts, the inhalations and the exhalations. I want you to just now bring yourself to that state of awareness, of consciousness. See yourself as if you're just perceiving, looking down, peering in. A perception of all of the things that are taking place. Take a few more breaths. Slowly bring your awareness back to the room. You can open your eyes, blink them. But as you blink them and bring your awareness back to the room, I want you to retain a sense of identity with the being of awareness, a being of consciousness. So now as you bring yourself back to the room, you automatically notice appearance, you automatically notice what surrounds you. But almost bring yourself back to a state of consciousness, a state of awareness behind all of those experiences, those external experiences. I want to bring you to one of our first sources. Source 1, which was really the source of jealousy, where we see the archetypal story of two people, which jealousy usually exists between. If it was just you in the world, you wouldn't be too perplexed about your appearance. Yeah, imagine it was just you, running around free in the world. You're going to care if you're wearing your pajamas out. You're going to care what type of car you drive. Are you going to care what type of hairdo you have that day? Not really, no one's there to see it. So as soon as two people come into the world, Cain and Abel, we see this sense of anxiety, we see this perpetual sense of not good enough. To which Cain, who is the essence of jealousy, again we see this word, Cain, kuf nun, from the word kinim, from the word kina. We see this being who has a sense of I'm not good enough, and he perceives a offering of his brother being accepted by God, and his offering is not accepted. And the words are very indicative of our own experiences when identifying solely with the physical. It says that God did not turn to his offering. And it was very distressing for Cain. He was in a state of immense angst. V'yipolu ponav, and it says that his face fell. You know, a person when they're depressed or they're anxious, the face falls. Yeah, you can see a person that's depressed.
Physical.
Their face, you can see it on their face. Yeah. V'yomer Hashem al Cain, lama choralach? Why are you so anxious? Why are you so upset? V'lama naflu fanecha, and why has your face fallen? Now, in a deeper state of understanding, the first question we have to ask ourselves when there is an over-identification with physicality, when there is an over-identification with our appearance, when we drive past at home and feel like, I need new furniture, I need to fix up my furniture here, I need to redo my home, or I need to buy something new to feel a sense of self, which is really the word kain. Kain is to liknot, is to find or to buy yourself, to find through purchasing. The first question we have to ask ourselves when you're feeling that state of angst is lama naflu fanecha. Why has your face fallen? But it's interesting that the word for face, fanecha, also comes from the word lifnim. What's lifnim? Inside. Your face is an indication of what's inside. But more than saying, why has your face fallen? It's saying, why has your inside fallen? Why have you dropped the definition of who you are? Which essentially is undefinable. Why have you dropped your true definition and made your primary definition external? Lama naflu fanecha. Why has your internality fallen? You feeling anxious about how you look? You need to check yourself every second in the mirror or in a reflection of your phone, or see the selfie of what you look like? In order to enhance one's state of confidence, you need to always be perfectly dressed and perfectly pampered. Lama naflu fanecha. What happened to you internally? That state or that meditation that we had initially of just a simple identification with awareness, of consciousness. I am conscious. I am. I just am. Undefinable, unmaterial, beyond all physicality. In a state of true identification of self, you can go out into the world and coexist. You can be one with the world. You can be one with your life. Turn to source 4. The Mishnah says, Marbe bossa, marbe rima. Person that has more flesh, they have more worms. It's interesting that on the same Gemara that I brought you this morning on brachos of these two spirits, it discusses if the departed feel any pain in the grave. And it says that their physical basar, their flesh, feels the pain of the worms like a machat, like a needle in live flesh. But the soul feels no pain. Which tells us the following. When a person feels a sense of pain, I need to get this dress and I don't have it. I need to have this garment and I don't have it. My car is messy and dirty and scratched, or I need something nicer because everyone else is driving a 4-wheel drive. Discovery. That feeling of pain is found in the identification of the basar, of the flesh. And it hurts like a needle. It's almost like you want to weave something into your flesh. I want to find some sense of attachment and engagement with my flesh. But the soul feels no pain. To the extent that it says, Marbe nechosim, the more property you have, Marbe daiga, the more anxious you are. So I was once sitting at the service station, waiting for my car to be filled up, and I happened to have been learning some agaritas. I was just sitting there, I had a page printed out, so I'm sitting there learning. And then one of the most amazing things happened. This guy, it was about maybe 8 p.m. This guy drives past, parks his car there to get it filled. And there's the most beautiful, red, polished Ferrari, 2-door, gorgeous. And I think to myself, wow, this is going to be really interesting. Like, I'm interested who's driving this car. It's a gorgeous car. I'm an aesthetic person. I like aesthetics, and I'm going to speak about what it means to be aesthetic and what it means to engage with the world. Okay? We have to understand clearly, this does not mean that you detach yourself from the world. It does not mean that you have to give up all your aesthetics. It means that you don't identify with it. You have a different relationship to aesthetics. Okay? We'll discuss how that is. But this guy gets out of the car. So now automatically I realize something's awry. Something's wrong. Something's awry. I see that this guy, he's scared. What's he scared of? He doesn't trust the guy to fill up his nice Ferrari. So he obviously wants to see that the right petrol is going into the car. He gives him a whole Megillah, a whole 15-minute explanation of how to fill up the car. Then I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, interesting. And then I turn myself back to the Gemara, and I start to hear this, angry voice berating this man that has just filled up the car. I turn my attention back to this guy. What's going on? Why is he so upset? What had happened was the guy, when he filled up, a drop of the petrol had fallen on the outside of the car, and he could see the drop slowly slithering down the side of his polishedly beautiful red Ferrari. And that broke him. This drop absolutely broke him. He went meshuggah. He ran over, he took the bucket of water, he splashed it on the side of the car, he started screaming at the guy. Obviously, you give a little bit of a tip. The guy went and he fixed your car, he put a bit of petrol, not giving you nothing, paid whatever he had to pay, and drove off in a flurry. And I thought to myself, this guy has the most amazing car. I mean, imagine someone said to you, here's the keys, this is a new car for you. My present to you. Wow, so nice. Imagine driving on Chapman's Peak with this beautiful Ferrari. Gorgeous. But this guy was not in a state of tranquility. This guy was in a great state of pain, internal pain. And what this is indicative of is this Mishnah that says, Ma'ar benechosim, ma'ar bedaiga, which means the more property you have, the more anxious you are. Now, essentially what it's telling us is the following. Because the more property you have, the more subsumed you are by your identity of your property. If everything is going well around you, it's usually the most, well put together, you have these supermodels that are filled with anxiety and depression. The most perfectly put together people, the most affluent, are sometimes the most anxious and the most depressed. And then you see these guys on the street that have nothing really to identify with.
Laughing and happy.
Laughing, happy, engaging with life. They got nothing. I greet them on the street. How are you doing? Warmth, connectivity, resonance. And then I see these individuals in checkers parked. I'm including myself in that. Not with the guys on the street. You see these perfect, beautiful cars, and they're flipping out about everything. The money falls. I didn't have enough change, or this. So much stress. Ma'ar bedaiga, huge sense of anxiety. The more you have, the more susceptible you are to identify with what you have.
Is marbe an increase?
Marbe has an increase, yeah, it's more. Ribui, it's multiplied. It's a fascinating concept. The more you have, the more you're going to be anxious.
Sorry, just one question on when it says he used to say, who was he?
I think it's Ben Zoima.
No. Was it? It was
I can't recall. I don't remember.
Okay.
You can check it up. It's in the second chapter on the 7th Mishnah. Well, generally, when there's no statement of who said it, it's usually a reference to Rebbe. It's Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Prince. That's who it is. He was the prince. He had everything. He could speak about what it was.
I wonder what you would do parked in St. John's Road with all those birds messing in the car.
Oh, gosh. I remember I recently washed my car. I felt so nice. It was nice and shiny on the outside. Black, beautiful, gorgeous. And I went parked my car to go pick someone up. Sarah had just given birth, and I went into the hospital to see how she was doing, and I remember coming out of the car, and there was this tree, I don't know if it was figs or whatever it was, and it just splattered everywhere on my car. And I was like, wow, what a lesson. Like, I was like, you just saw the transience of physicality. Like, and you're juggling so much to try and keep your physical identity up, and it is just such a state of angst, and such a state of death, and such a state of displeasure, a pain of the machat in the flesh.
But it's also a beautiful representation of the cycles of life and fertility and
here's life,
abundance.
There's death. Look at me identifying. The figs, the figs splattering all over my car. Amazing. Teaching me what life is really about.
I stand with a mop and a bucket at 7 o'clock in the morning because my car's parked in the wrong spot for Shabbat, and when you have to go to school and drop off, it's from the back to the front, covered
with the bird, Amazing, those birds.
Using the toilet in a car.
So there's a famous, so look at source 6. There's a famous Gemara, famous Mishnah. And I haven't quoted the whole Mishnah to you. But Ben Zoyma says, Eizahu Ashir, who is a wealthy person? And the answer that he gives is Hasameach Bechelkai. What does that mean? Who is wealthy? A person who is happy with their lot. Satisfied with their lot. Content with their lot. What does that mean?
You're not looking at what the other person has.
You're not looking at what the other person has, and thus you're happy with what you have.
Grateful.
I would say grateful.
You're in a state of grateful. You're feeling grateful or gratitude. Yeah. Anyone else? You see, my issue.
No envy.
No envy. My issue, and this is a very important message I want to give to you. You need to always go to the core. You need to always address what is the core issue. It's not good enough for me to come to you and say, don't be angry. And you say to yourself 100 times, don't be angry, don't be angry, don't be angry. And then something happens to you and you're angry. And you're saying to yourself, I shouldn't be angry. And you feel guilty for being angry. But don't be angry, don't be angry, don't be angry doesn't help. And if I can tell you, ladies, it is so important for you to be happy with your lot. So please just be grateful for what you have. And then what happens? As soon as you walk outside, you see people with better circumstances, nicer homes, nicer family structures, nicer cars, clothes, appearances, health, whatever it may be. A whole, smorgasbord of things to choose where you aren't as good. And then you say to yourself, no, but be happy with your lot. Be happy with what you have.
But what it is to understand that what you have is what you've been given by Hashem. Whatever it is, good and bad.
But I want more.
It's acceptance.
I want more.
But it's like medication.
Yes.
It's like, for my life, for whatever I have, for the ailments or whatever, I have to take, let's say, cholesterol medication and diabetic medication. Are you going to be jealous of that?
No, but I will be jealous if you don't have to take that medication.
No, but I'm saying if I have to, if I've been given all these things because this is going to help me.
But what's the comparison between taking medication and a beautiful Ferrari? I like black more than I like red.
I believe it's the same thing. You've been given that because that's your trufa for whatever it is you have to go through.
Okay, so you're saying that life is a trufa. Life gives you certain medications that you need to swallow or experience.
I wouldn't call it medications. Part of it is that, part of it is other things. You've been given those things because that's
your journey and that's your book.
Okay, good.
I have my book.
Good. So this is the initial.
I can't take a chapter from your book and choose a chapter. You have your book with your chapters. I have my book with my chapters. You can't choose a particular chapter of my book that you like.
But some chapters we're going on the same path
I'm
together.
not seeing all the chapters of your book anyway.
Exactly.
I don't know what happens all the time in your book.
And also you're not.
And you're not seeing all the chapters in my book.
Good, good. So this is maybe the initial approach that people give to jealousy. And it's nice. It is nice. It's very, very cute and nice. But I want to tell you that maybe personally and in my engagement with people that I've seen, it's not good enough. It's not good enough.
Does it not work?
It doesn't work properly because we're not addressing the core issue. And the core issue is you're still identifying with your book. You're still identifying with the externalities that are around you. So, okay, I have this
But
amount of
I'm
clothing.
talking about health. I'm talking about... That's...
Even more than that. So, yes, I can look around myself and say, look at my palette. Look at the things I have. And that's a value. I'm not undermining it. I think that the initial step is to say what I have is a blessing and let me stop comparing myself to others.
But it's not what I have in terms of material things.
I'm talking
Everything. Health, your circumstances in comparison, which is what jealousy is.
But this is, you just put it in comparison. You have to be content with what you are to be rich in this world.
Yes.
It's got not rich money.
Yes.
You be content with
So
who
how
you
you're
are.
doing that is now saying, I stop comparing. Look, beautiful garments, very nice and warm. My circumstance, not necessarily clothes. I'm giving that as an example. Look at my, the health or your financial circumstance.
But there are people who are
Wonderful.
jealous of somebody else's
I
spiritual
don't even
being.
go that far.
Spiritual.
I'm alive today. I have a husband. I have a family. I have children. I have grandchildren. And I woke up today and I'm walking and I'm playing.
Amazing. So
and I'm
simple, the
alive
simple
today.
things. Look in the simple
And
things.
yeah.
Very good. Very
I used to
good.
be jealous of people with a family. I'm a widow more than 4 years, so my baby was 2.5 years old. And then I would see a husband and a wife being ugly to the husband, and I would think, hello, I was a good wife. I was better than that towards a man. So why do I not have one? You would pick up small things. I say used to, I'm not like that anymore. And I understand, it happened, whatever the reason might be, okay. So being rich it's definitely not money, but and jealousy, it's not like, oh, the rabbi has such nice glasses, I wanted, or I like your car. I mean, it comes in small forms.
Okay,
No?
good. I think these are good. I want to go deeper. Okay, and I think that this is a very, very important point that we're about to learn in alleviating the pressure that we still place on ourselves. And you'll notice that you will oscillate between that. Like sometimes you just feel it's not enough. Okay, you have to remind yourself, be happy with your lot, be happy with your lot, be happy with what's around you. Good, good. Let's see, maybe there's something that can take away. It's almost like you have heartburn, that's source somewhere. So you take medication to sort of put down the effects of it. But maybe there's something that's causing that heartburn.
What makes me unhappy is when I feel that I'm not realizing my potential. That's what makes me unhappy. That's what makes me unhappy.
And what is your potential?
I don't always know. That's what makes me unhappy. If I feel I'm not always doing what I should be doing,
But then maybe that's also the
what
same
makes
thing.
me unhappy. Not looking at what you or the other have.
Good.
That's what
good.
makes
So
me.
now,
That's what gives me a
good,
sense
excellent.
of dis-ease,
Dis-ease.
or unease.
Okay, good.
That's what makes me
Excellent.
unhappy.
And this is kina. Because if you look at
That's what makes me
if you
unhappy.
look at Cain and
that's
Abel,
also kina.
if you look at Cain and Abel, Cain wasn't upset that Abel had a beautiful, jacket on. Maybe that was the story of Joseph and his brothers. But Cain was upset that someone else was more successful, more productive, more actualized than him.
Okay.
So this is not limited
Okay.
to physicality.
Okay.
This is much deeper than we think.
Okay.
This is now connected to our externality. Externality is our actions as well. is our actions. There's a sense of definition, kinyan, acquisition, by my actions. Physical identification. Physical identification is not only your clothing, your car, your house, but it is your circumstances that surround you in your physical engagement with the world. If I'm just not doing anything, if I just got you to sit here, we're not learning, we're not being productive, do you feel anxious inside? Do you feel a sense of what am I, who am I, where am I?
Because they're giving you the responsibility to do that.
I'm giving that to you, yeah, I'm teaching you. But let's say you're sitting at home, got nothing to do.
Yes.
Nothing to clean, nothing to look after, no purpose.
Anxious.
You feel anxious?
Yes.
Excellent, and this is the point.
Waste of time.
Ezehu sameach. Sorry, who is Ezu Ashir? Who is a wealthy person? Sameach b'chalkei. A person that is happy with their lot. This applies to what you're feeling. Because you know what your lot is, you know what your chelek is. Lama naflu fanecha. Why has your internal identification of self, an internal identification that isn't defined by anything, no action, no material, no successes, no action of what I'm doing now, how productive I am, just by the sense of being, you are. The state of awareness and consciousness that's inside of you that we develop just by being conscious of our thoughts, the inner place of awareness of self, self as in the consciousness that's there, a place of I am, just a place of being, a place that is transcendent from all physicality, from your activities.
In other words, you have to get into that.
Yes, the primary lifnim, the primary inside.
No, I mean you have to get into that on purpose because you don't naturally feel it.
The aim
Otherwise,
of life.
You have to be living in
The
India.
aim of life is to become, and this is according to the Zohar. The Zohar says the purpose of life is to become a wellspring that gushes from the internal, rather than starting off as a pit that is being fed from external. That people are coming in and pouring in things. Look at my achievements. Look at how productive I am. Look at the 2-hour run that I went for.
Gushing with life.
So you're internally gushing. You're internally being filled from inside. No activity. Nothing external. You can sit there and do nothing.
But society tells you.
Society tells you because this is the point. The point is we are egoic, and we are taught by an egoic society that lives on the first 3 rivers. The first 3 rivers is all about the ego. So obviously, if you're not constantly productive and constantly perfect.
So do you know anybody that's in that state?
Besides the Rambam. Or the river.
You are in that state. You just don't know it. You are in that state. You just don't know it. Every single person is in that state. It is just a question of identity. So if you're sitting there at home, gosh, I need to do something, productive. I need to maybe there's nothing to clean. Everything's already clean. Nothing to fix. And there's nothing to organize. I've cooked everything.
But you become anxious.
You become anxious because you don't know where you are.
Well, what happens if you
And that's lama chara. Lama. Why are you anxious? Lama lachara lach. Why are you so distressed?
But that happens to me all the time.
To identify why are you feeling so distressed. And that is the point of identification. You're sitting there. You feel distressed. Now, say to yourself, I understand that my initial and my essential definition of self is this wellspring that's inside of me. The wellspring of divinity, the wellspring of connectivity with God. I don't need to do anything to exist. I am, by definition, living and existing and tapped into divinity, tapped into my soul. I don't have to do anything. And my activities around me, that anxiety that I feel I need to be productive, otherwise I feel so anxious because I'm a nothing, constantly chasing your tail. is your ego living in an external shell. So now you've maybe evolved. You don't define yourself by your appearance, not necessarily in a total framework. You don't define yourself by what you own necessarily, maybe marginally, as everyone does marginally. You can't escape this entirely. But now you've evolved. You're productive. You are, a person that needs to achieve in this world. It may be a deeper form of achievement spiritually. It may be that you have to change the world in a positive way. And if I'm not doing it, I feel like a nothing. And what you've done to yourself is you've encaged yourself still in the machatzeles, mavatzeles, in this of reeds, in this burial shroud of reeds. I can't move. I don't feel a sense of freedom. And that's what anxiety is, essentially. I'm sitting here and I feel so stuck.
But you know why? You know why? Because as you age,
Yeah.
mitzvot are about doing,
Yeah.
not about thinking. Okay? You're always told that mitzvot are about doing, not about thinking. And as you age, you reckon you've got less time. So I say to myself, it's about doing. It's not about just thinking. So,
Are you ready for this?
yes.
Mitzvot are not about doing.
Huh?
Mitzvot are not about doing. Okay, I want you to listen in carefully, okay?
Okay, I'm listening.
Mitzvot
Am I
are
going to fall
not.
off my chair?
Maybe that's why we put rails here for you to be safe. Yeah. Mitzvot are
Yeah, I
not.
could break a hip.
Yes. That would help you with your externality. You would be really super not productive, hey? God forbid. But mitzvot are not about doing. Mitzvot.
You're going to shake me to the core.
Yes, mitzvot, and this is where many people make a very dire mistake with their religiosity. And that is they replace their egoic identity, which initially associated itself with their appearance, with their physical amassment of material wealth. And now they are religious. Now I identify myself by my religiosity.
So in other words, how many rules I stick to.
Look
how many
rules I do, how many mitzvot. So you've evolved in your ego. You have evolved. Now it's not about just the physical based things, but now you're thinking, what's the purpose of life? There's maybe something more to that. So now I'm going to evolve in my egoic identity and definition of self. Now instead of defining myself solely by physicality, I define myself by physicality and spirituality. Look how successful I am physically and spiritually. I daven with kavanah, I'm tznius, I do chesed. Look how righteous I am. I look after people and I give charity. Look, I'm coming to a nice shiur, learning. Beautiful. All good things. But you're still stuck. You're still anxious and you're still almost encaged by this perpetual cage of the ego. The point of mitzvahs is to do activities which are conscious. The point of mitzvahs is to allow you to transcend your egoic identity. When you learn lishma, you know what lishma means? Lishma means, they translate as l'shem shamayim, for the sake of Hashem, for the sake of heaven. It's also a fallacy. It's also a mistake. It is not for the sake of Hashem. I'm doing it so Hashem can perceive me. I'm so religious. I'm such a perfect person. Look how good I am. Still stuck, aren't you? You're doing it le-she-ma. Lishma is for the sake of what? You are letting go of your egoic identity. You are entering into a state of lifnim. I do activities not because of how I define myself. I've stopped defining myself. I define myself by what is undefinable. I am what I am. I just am.
I don't define myself.
It's interesting, but,
Yes.
but everybody's going to really come down hard on you if you go around talking like that.
No. The only state of coming down hard is where you go abrasively against a person's egoic identity. So when you come along and you have people that associate religiously as an identity Religion is not an identity. Do you understand that? Religion is a state and is meant to be a state of consciousness. So you have people that are super religious, but they treat their families horribly. They're angry, they're anxious, they're depressed. But they learn and they daven and they do mitzvahs, not undermining that the activity that they're engaging with has a connection on the ladder of consciousness. Eventually they might get there. From a place of not doing it for the right reason, eventually they might get there. Maybe in an iota, a millisecond while they're doing it, they're actually doing it in a state of being truly conscious. But are they still entrapped? Gewalt. They're even worse entrapped because they think they saved themselves. Person that's stuck in their ego, physicality, thinks, okay, maybe one day I'll get out of it. Persons that's religious, gewalt, yeah, they got such an egoic identity, but they're full of anxiety. They're full of depression. I want to end off with the following.
Mind blowing.
So the final source I want to show you, okay, I won't show it to you initially here, I don't have it written down. The Gemara says that there are three things that expand the Daas. Daas is your consciousness. Three things that your consciousness are expanded by. What are they? Isha na'eh, Bayis na'eh, and Kalim na'eh. Which means a beautiful spouse. Could be a beautiful wife or a handsome husband.
But it said
Consciousness.
in the Nekeva.
It says, it's talking specifically about a man who is really very egoic. Yeah, a man is by definition one of the most egoic beings to live. A woman is an Eza Kenegdoi. She's there to really taper off his ego. That's essentially what she's there to do. It can't be done abrasively, otherwise you'll destroy your relationship, your marriage, and the individuals in the same breath.
Beautiful spouse, a beautiful house.
A beautiful spouse, a beautiful house, and beautiful vessels. Your clothes, your car. Marchivin data shaladam will expand the consciousness of a person, expand the awareness of a person, make them feel a sense of This is really problematic, isn't it? Because we see that what we've all been talking about now is essentially not this. That if you're defining yourself by all of these external things, you're in a constant rut. You're in a constant state of angst. You've lost your das. So the Vilna Gaon...
You've got to renegotiate what those mean.
Good. The Vilna Gaon explains a very deep concept. And he says, what does it mean that three things, marchivin data shaladam, three things expand the das, the mentality, the consciousness of a person? He says you're reading it wrong. Shloisha devarim, three things that you're generally really upset about. My husband's not handsome enough, or an identity with your relationships. Who surrounds me? It's not only about being handsome. It's about my identification with my relationships. My children aren't well behaved. My spouse isn't as perfect as I want them to be. Real angst. My house isn't beautiful. My house isn't perfect. My house isn't where I want it to be. It doesn't have the view that I need. It's not perfectly clean. It's not perfect. My kalim, my vessels aren't perfect. And a person is a constant, incessant comparison of these things in their lives. This is not good enough, this is not good enough, this is not good enough. How do I make it better? Maybe once I get this, everything will be fine. And then you get it and it's not good enough. So, shloisha devarim marchivin data shalata. Once you enter into a state of identification with the das, once you associate and you primarily engage with identifying yourself as your das, as your consciousness, that inner meditation that we had of I am and I am a conscious being, just the state of awareness of what is around you. I am consciously aware, that's who I am. the soul that's beaming into me. That's where it is. It's beaming into you. It's not in you, it's beaming in. The awareness that's coming into you. And how I perceive all the things around me. That's who I primarily am. Once you identify with that place, marchivin data shel adam, your relationships become perfect. You're not identifying with this person as your identity. You are relating to them. It's not your identity anymore. Doesn't matter what they say, what they do, who they are, how well behaved they are. It doesn't affect me because that's not me. My house, I can like it, beautiful, nice, can enjoy it, but I don't identify with it because I identify with my Daas, my awareness, my consciousness. That's who I am. My vessels become gewaldig. Something breaks, all right, break. I enjoyed it as long as it lasted. Maybe I'll get another one, maybe not. Do I need one? Don't know. Hasameach bechelkoi. Ezu asher, who is wealthy? A person that is happy with their lot. That's the essential chelek. It's not that I'm saying, oh, okay, listen, I'm unlucky. I got what I needed to get. Let me at least be happy with it. Gosh, that's so, it doesn't do it for me. Maybe it does it for you. But when I essentially have an identity of who I am, a true identity, I am full because I've tapped into that wellspring that's internal. I don't place so much unnecessary pressure on my surroundings. Okay, this is the first river of Pishon. And what we're trying to learn is as much as you follow your external identity, it's not going to take you to a place of tranquility. As much as you own, as much as you acquire, as much as you've perfected your spouse, it is not going to give you a state of serenity because you're not finding yourself there. Yourself is much deeper than that. Lama naflu fanecha. When you feel a sense of anxiety, a feel of angst, lama naflu fanecha. Where is your inside gone? Where is that deeper sense of I am? Where's it disappeared? Okay? Any questions? Oh, so now check this out.
So what does it take on depression?
Check this out. So look, we say this is gorgeous. We say this in the Chadoidi. So, last source. Doesn't even have a number there, amazing.
No.
So we say, Mikdash melech ir melucha, kum yitzei mitoicha afecha, rav lach sheves be'emek habocha. We sing on Shabbos. It's enough. It's enough. Sheves be'emek habocha. It's enough that you have been lying in the valley of tears. Vilna Gaon points out, you know what emek habocha means? What's the valley of tears? Bacha, tears, is an acronym. Beis Chof Aleph is an acronym. You know what it's an acronym for? Beis is for bias, for a house. Chof is for kalim, vessels. And Aleph is for Isha or Ish, your spouse. And you're in a state, you're in a valley of tears. Redeem us from this valley of tears. Take us out from this valley of tears. You know who comes to take you out of your valley of tears? Shabbos. Shabbos takes you out of the valley of tears. You know why Shabbos? Because Shabbos is the essential Daas. It's the essential consciousness. It's the essential identity of who you are. Tapping into that state of spirituality.
I can't imagine being in that state except for Shabbos.
Well, Shabbos is there to teach you how to be in that state constantly. Yeah? All right, shall we with brocha? Until we meet with the next river.